Welcome to the video series based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. In this episode, we will be discussing rising above your background. How you were born, most often, does not really matter. I was born through a levirate marriage. My father married my mother as a result of the death of my uncle from my father's maternal side, not even his paternal side. It took a lot of effort to convince my mother to marry my father, because even though he was older than my mother, he once lived with them as a younger brother to his maternal uncle, who was my mother's husband then. My mother never respected my father as a wife should, because my late uncle was a better choice, who gave her a better life than my father, who was a refuse collector and a cemetery worker in the City Council of Warri from 15th of November 1947. She always made references to the life they lived in the police barracks then and the several places she had been during their frequent transfers in the colonial era. If I were from a caste system like India, I would have been condemned to the lowest caste segment of our society. Thank God for being a Nigerian and a Christian, and for the benefits of sound education. I dine and speak with the elite of my nation today. I was sitting on the head table at a university in February 2019, getting set to address a group of cooperative societies from a local government area. I began to reflect on the fact that my father was a refuse collector, and it would have been a source of great pride for him to see me address this audience. From the way my mother spoke nostalgically about her previous marriage, I had a sense of second-class citizenship among my mother's earlier children. Life had, most times in my early years, tried to create an inferiority complex in my mind. I had to build a defensive wall very early. Your background does not have to determine your future. The circumstances of your birth, the limitations of your family, and the conditions of your upbringing do not define your destiny. With passion, education, faith, and determination, it is possible to rise above the limitations of your past and stand among the people you once thought were beyond your reach. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. I grew up in Ofuoma, in Delta State, in the village of my paternal grandmother, whom I never knew. I did not know my father until, I suspect, I was about 3 to 4 years old, because I can remember some things that occurred while I was still breastfeeding, even though I stopped breastfeeding at an age where I was already conscious of my environment. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Growing up in a paternalistic environment on your maternal grandmother's side was capable of creating a sense of a stranger mentality. However, we were never discriminated against at Ofuoma. My brethren from Ofuoma related to my father as an uncle in Warri. A lot of them stopped over in our home before settling down on their own. Ofuoma is about 6 miles from Ughelli, Delta State, where I currently reside. It was a village then in the 1960s, but it had a primary school. The road was an untarred earth road. The journey from Ughelli to Ofuoma was usually on foot. Most parts of the road were lined with rubber trees or cassava farms. There were council workers then who maintained the roads. They used to drain pools of water into pits they dug by the sides of the earth roads. Sometimes they cut sticks to line potholes. The sticks were placed perpendicular to the length of the road. I still remember that oil exploration had just started in earnest then in the early 1960s. oil prospecting workers were doing seismographic work, and the search for oil involved echo sounding with explosives. There were very loud explosions reverberating in our forests. These are now the present oil wells around Ofuoma and her environs. I was always fascinated by their Land Rover Jeeps. Another thing I remember about Ofuoma was the way adult males suddenly ran into the bushes because of tax collectors. Once tax collectors were spotted, men either hid under their beds with their wives standing at the doorsteps as if no one was at home, or there were sporadic Usain Bolt sprints into the nearby rubber plantations. The word tax in Urhobo, Osa Uyonwi, means a debt for your head. It was very difficult for me to understand why one had to pay a debt for his own head. One thing my mother's negative comments about my father created in me was the desire to create a better history for myself, distinct from that of the rest of my brothers. Retrospectively, life taught me early to choose your destiny distinct from that of your background. You choose the direction you desire in life. As I have always said, life has taught me to react to prove people wrong by results. Results are products of desires, decisions, choices, and actions. My father had a vocation that is hardly existent in Nigeria today in our cities. To complement his meager income, he built and mended houses made of thatch and laterite. Some had zinc roofing sheets, though. I always saw my father mending other people's houses because we lived in the slum or rural area of Wari called Okere, which had predominantly mud houses then. I remember we first lived in a thatch house along Okere Road. When it rained, it leaked. What I remembered most was the tea-colored water from the mixture of thatch and carbon, deposited from our cooking on the thatch, washed down by the rain. I was always tempted to drink it, but the leakage was quite irritating then. We usually sat on the floor to eat. The floor was not cemented, and we wore no pants most times, so our bums were exposed to some very wicked ants that could deprive you of the joy of your dinner when they struck. Some other dangerous creatures we dreaded were centipedes. Mosquitoes were the least of our problems. Our toilets were made of buckets. Night soil men came to carry them at night and empty the contents into a van. If the tenants refused to pay, the night soil men would abandon the pails of excrement at the entrance to the compound. You were forced to pay. All the fecal matter collected was emptied at the then outskirts of the town. Throughout the day, big birds hovered over the refuse dump. I wonder whose residence that place could be now. After some time, we moved to Uku Square, somewhere behind Okere Road, near the prison yard. It was behind the old Okere Union School. One of the teachers there was called Tarzan. He was a powerful but gentle giant. He owned a very small canoe and often paddled it with his hands instead of using a paddle. As a child, I admired him deeply and his unusual lifestyle. Looking back now, I realize how easily children absorb what they see around them. The impressions they form in those early years often stay with them for a lifetime. When we moved there, our toilet was simply a space surrounded by old corrugated iron sheets. You used pieces of old newspaper or used cement paper for cleaning afterward. Old pages of the Daily Times newspaper were often preferred because they were softer. Looking back now, those experiences left deep impressions on my mind. Seeing the homes and lives of other families often made me feel a painful sense of inferiority. But over time, that pain taught me something important. It taught me to endure hardship and to ignore insults. It pushed me to focus on where I was going rather than on what I could not immediately change. Instead of blaming others or making excuses, I learned to concentrate on what I could do to change my situation. That determination to overcome my background became a powerful force that continues to drive me even today. If you enjoyed this episode, Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Happiness is difficult to define and quantify, but it is not hard to recognize. When you are happy, you know it. Happiness is not dependent on wealth, but on perspective. Even in poverty, there can be joy, memories, and gratitude. However, the right response to life, through discipline, appreciation, and faith, can transform one's circumstances and create a better future. Gratitude for small things and intentional living are key to true fulfillment. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Happiness is difficult to define and quantify, but it is not hard to recognize. When you are happy, you know it. Without the rich and without comparison, the poor hardly feel the pain of poverty. They have a way of deriving joy from life. An illiterate villager who kills a buffalo might be happier than an Obama who won an American presidential election. It is only when comparison comes in and the realization of differential societal acclaim is recognized that the happiness of the illiterate villager might be dampened. However, personally, the memories might just remain pleasant with time. I have tried to recall some of the things that brought joy to my life as a child. Our meals were monotonous. We ate a cassava meal called eba with soup in the morning, the same thing in the afternoon, and the same thing in the evening. We rarely ate rice, and that was usually on days like National Independence, anniversaries, Easter, Christmas, and New Year. We never celebrated birthdays. Another time we ate rice was during Sarah ceremonies, usually organized by a woman seeking the fruit of the womb. She would cook rice, some stew, and beef, and all the children around her residence would be invited to eat. After eating, without washing their hands, the children would rub their oily and sometimes peppery hands on her belly. I won't tell you what some rascals would do if she was a wicked woman. We hardly ate chicken outside of these occasions. Sometimes, though, we had the privilege of buying hot meals cooked with firewood from food vendors who sold at night with kerosene lamps. My best memory is fried ripe plantain, usually soft, with rice and beef. The fried ripe plantain is called dodo in Nigeria. I can't understand to this day why my father called it ododo. Perhaps it was because his alias was ododo, which means flour. I ate every piece of dodo with joy. Today, just like then, every time I eat soft dodo, I remember my father and feel indebted to my children, particularly my last child, to leave pleasant memories in their minds. The problem with these children is that they are now more difficult to please. My last child used to select meals. He would choose between rice and spaghetti. Anytime we entered a taxi or a lorry, it was a source of great joy because we usually trekked long distances to school and other places. Today, I have about 8 buses, a car, and an SUV. My last child used to select the vehicle he hoped I would use to take him to school. The taxis then were black Morris Minor cars. They were also called Black Marias before prison vans bore the same alias. Anytime my father came to visit us in the village of my paternal grandmother, Ofwoma, he usually came with a few things from Wari, the township. 2 things were exceptional: bread and canned sardines or corned beef. If we ate the sardines, the can was a treasure. We would design a car with it. If it was pilchards, we made drinking cups with the containers. You dared not eat a tin of sardines on your own, else you were considered a potential thief. My last child eats sardines any time he chooses. Occasionally, he ignores them. We had the rare privilege to drink soft drinks called Crola and Tango. You just had a little to drink. If you ate a whole egg on your own, it was considered an indication that you would become a thief. My wife says I am always excited by little things. Yes, why should I not be excited by things that others consider little? Imagine me in this hotel where I am writing this book with so much comfort, while I grew up in a thatch house and my father was a gateman in a hotel. Today I am a guest and all my expenses are paid for by my host. I have a variety of drinks in my refrigerator right now. Soon I will leave here for another hotel. Years after writing the previous sentence, I have slept in some of the most expensive hotels in Nigeria. My past has taught me to be grateful to God for very little things that others take for granted. The day I bought my first car, I woke up about 2 a.m. to make sure it was not a dream and to ensure that the car was still there. The day my eldest son went to Europe to study, I cried and cried out of gratitude to God that I went a step beyond my father. I was grateful that a descendant of this dysfunctional family was going beyond the shores of Africa, and that I could afford it without borrowing. I weep for joy as I write, because my father could not buy a suitcase or a suit for me when I went to medical school, but we could buy a suitcase full of clothes for him. 2 others have subsequently joined him. They have been to the United States of America to work. The eldest one is a surgical intern in Germany. In a few years, he will be a consultant orthopedic surgeon. When I see Barack Obama speak, I weep because one day it is possible that I will have a child, grandchild, or great-grandchild in a faraway land, making the black man proud. I see it in the eye of faith. The deep pit from where God picked me, and the level He has placed me, no matter how insignificant it may be to others, show me the great love God has shown me. I was in the Nigerian Army headquarters in 2009 to speak in one of their churches. I had a soldier attached to me to answer all my calls. As I spoke to the elite audience, I felt a great sense of gratitude to God. Every day for me is a thanksgiving. Even though I hated poverty and desired a better life, God has been gracious and faithful in ameliorating my background deficiency syndrome. God has shown reckless love towards my family and me. Respond to life. Do not react to it. How you were born, to whom you were born, and when you were born does not really matter. Your response is what matters. Mind what you say to children. It is carried in their minds. Happiness is not dependent on wealth, but on perspective. Even in poverty, there can be joy, memories, and gratitude. However, the right response to life through discipline, appreciation, and faith can transform one's circumstances and create a better future. Gratitude for small things and intentional living are key to true fulfillment. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Poverty can either break a person or ignite a powerful determination to succeed. The pain of hardship, when properly channeled, can become the fuel for discipline, education, and relentless effort. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. I was preaching in a church in 2009 at Aba when the inspiration to write this book came to me. The area reminded me of my past. The filthy streets, the congested compounds, the 1- or 2-room accommodations, and the blank faces of the people as I spoke to them. The noise and very loud music all reminded me of my past. I could sense a spirit of defeat and resignation in the faces of many of my listeners. The church became the pharmacy for dispensing the tramadol to kill the pain and create perpetual hope for the hopeless. What many years of wicked leadership have done to the average Nigerian as a result of decades of crushing poverty is that after some time, desperation gives way to despondency. My school is situated in an old ancestral part of Ughelli. There are many houses around that are much better than the ones we grew up in, but worse than the standards of this generation. There is a brewing tragedy that I see. Many parents have settled down to find happiness in the midst of squalor. The children and teenagers are getting pregnant in squalor and replicating dysfunctional families even worse off than their parents. In our time, we found that education, discipline, and hard work were the keys that would take us out of the mess we were born into. I don't know what went wrong, but our young ones today are very comfortable with poverty, ignorance, and the readiness to be servants to the wicked exploiters of our nation. Years later, after writing the preceding statements, I can still see the children of the poor fighting to elect the children of the elite whose parents oppressed their parents. They hang on open vans to campaign for them, while the children of these elite are in prestigious universities in Europe and America. I thank God for my background because deep inside me is a spirit of laziness, and unless you are my wife, you would not know it. If I had come from a rich or comfortable family, I would have rested on the oars of my father's success. There is also a deep-seated seed of stubbornness and adventurism inside me that only my wife knows. If I had come from a rich family, it would have manifested as rebellion and recklessness. Especially as the last child, I would have been a mess. The hatred I have for poverty and the consciousness of inferiority created a response of not accepting failure as an option. My successes in examinations, despite my background, were a statement that I am somebody after all. This still affects everything I do today. I hate to fail in any endeavor. I hate to fall below expectations in anything I do. It has created a habit of taking deliberate steps to ensure that experience never repeats itself in my life or that of my descendants. Poverty can either break a person or ignite a powerful determination to succeed. The pain of hardship, when properly channeled, can become the fuel for discipline, education, and relentless effort. Instead of accepting poverty as a permanent condition, one must develop the determination to break its cycle and ensure that the same struggles are not transferred to the next generation. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Your environment can shape you, but discipline, education, and mindset determine how far you go. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. When I finally came to Warri to reside with my father remains vague in my memory because we used to come to Warri, stay briefly, and then go back to Ughelli. The trips were quite exciting because we would buy bread. Bread was not eaten every day like we can afford to do now. It was something we ate occasionally. The fun of traveling in a Kia bus or Kapokirikpo was exhilarating. A Kia bus was a Volkswagen bus, while Kapokirikpo, as the name suggests, was a lorry with planks that we sat on. They were mostly of the Bedford brand. There was a rod shaped like modern-day wheel spanners that was inserted somewhere in front of the engine, and with some spin, the engine would roar into life. Then there were also the Peugeot products, which were cars, more luxurious and more expensive. Warri was very clean then, and multiracial. Vehicles drove on the left side of the road. That means the cars were right-hand drive. In front of where the Warri main market is now used to be called Keep Left. There was the King George Memorial Hall. There was Barclays Bank, Chellaram Stores, and Goltz Hulk Company, somewhere on the right before the road that links Swamp Road, which I described earlier. Moving along Robert Road from Ogbe Ijao Market always reminded me of the contrast between the rich and the poor. The houses along Robert Road were in neat rows with spaces in between. They had electricity and pipe-borne water. They were occupied by middle cadre African civil servants. The journey from Robert Road to Okere is something I want to do on foot again just before my 60th birthday. People from different tribes related not based on tribes, but on where they resided. So, we had Agbasa boys, Igbudu boys, Daudu boys, Okere boys, Obahor boys, Robert Road boys, and Omatan boys. Your allegiance was to your locality and your neighbors, not to your tribe. We were not tribalistic. We had our own language, different from the rest of the English spoken in Nigeria. We were a clan anywhere we met outside Warri. We saw ourselves as a unique breed, more civilized than the rest of the country, even though some of us had not traveled far. We felt like that because we intimidated even those who came from such towns whenever we met. The Warri boy is a radical advocate. He answers questions with questions, and questions answers with questions. Our parents, no matter how old, spoke pidgin English. We were able to discuss with our parents issues other children might not dare to mention. I have been to central Nairobi in Kenya and Hillbrow in South Africa, and these are rough areas. Once I noticed their roughness, I switched on the Warri aura, and whoever saw me was wondering who this new kid in the block was. You cannot fold a Warri boy or girl. In my marriage, we live together out of mutual respect because my wife is a Warri girl who grew up at Agbasa, Omatan Street, and later Urhobo Road. She was at Bendel, DDPA, estate for some time during her secondary school days. We know our boundaries, and we respect them. You cannot fold or box my wife into a packet. She might look simple, but she cannot, and has never been, intimidated by any man or woman. I must not fail to mention that despite our different backgrounds, we all went to the same missionary or government schools before government took over all schools. This provided a level playing field for all of us who grew up in the 60s to take a shot at life, because education is the key that turns the lock into the future, as I opined earlier. Today, it is no longer so. The public education system has been virtually destroyed. Only the poor have their children sentenced to these poorly managed schools. After primary 6, we all waited for the common entrance results. There were very few private secondary schools then in the Warri metropolitan area. So we were all expected to attend government-owned schools or missionary schools. Parents, particularly our mothers, took pride in the schools their children passed into, such as federal government colleges, government special schools like Government College Ughelli, Edo College in Benin City, and others. The Warri environment shaped resilience, boldness, and a strong sense of identity. Community, shared experiences, and access to education created a level playing field that allowed many to rise above their circumstances. The lesson is clear. Your environment can shape you, but discipline, education, and mindset determine how far you go. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Never get discouraged over an unbeliever because of his reactions, comments, attitude, and antics. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. We had students who came for auxiliary nursing training, and there was something unique about them. They were Christians. I was not a Christian then, but I had an inner hunger to thank God for all He had taken me through, but I could not find a way. A young lady, Mary Mbar then, whom I later discovered was from Newi, was always preaching to me, considering the way I lived, even though I had a pregnant woman at home. As I write now, I wonder how much I had calmed down after I got born again, and even now. She gave me a yellow New Testament Bible, and I kept it. It was with me when I got born again. Those auxiliary trainees invited me for a seminar at the Living Word Training Center, 158 Aba Owerri Road, run by Brother Emma Okoria and Sister Chinyere Okoria. The environment when I got there was very conducive, but I did not really understand what they were saying. However, they were different from those unattractive and bland Christians I knew in the university. The music was different from hymns and the old songs my Scripture Union classmates sang. They invited me a second time. I wanted to avoid them, but they were good girls, so we went so as not to offend them. My wife, though, was Catholic and used to go to church, unlike me. Due to their pressure, we went a second time, and Bishop David Oyedepo was the guest preacher. I cannot remember what he spoke about, but I remember he wore the same type of shoes as me, and he was talking of millions he was going to spend in Kaduna. The mind of an unbeliever who is ignorant is like a refuse dump. I left that meeting offended, but today I am talking of millions and spending millions too. Never get discouraged over an unbeliever because of his reactions, comments, attitude, and antics. These girls invited us a third time. Apparently they were concerned about our souls, even though I had cooled down considerably. The responsibility of being a father, a husband, and a medical officer in a big local government council like ABBA, and my resolve to raise a model family must have been contributory factors in cooling me down. I must also add that my separation from my classmates and childhood friends also contributed. Another factor was that, as at then, ABBA was a very conservative society relative to Warri. However, my wife and I usually drank a bottle of beer every day, and those girls were aware. So, their pressure prompted us to attend another seminar. Reverend John Okposio happened to be the guest preacher that day. I cannot remember what he spoke about, but I can remember only one statement. I suppose I heard that God is not looking for those who would be able to please Him on their own, but rather He was looking for those whom He would change to please Him through Jesus Christ. I cannot remember precisely, but He made a call for those who wanted to take a decision for Christ to raise their hands. Thank God my wife and I did, and we were prayed for. We did not consult each other. Something happened to me as we came down from the hall. I had peace of mind, and I had joy and confidence to live. Also, there was a resolution to live a godly life. But as we walked further, another realization came. Have I joined church people? What would my friends say to that? They did say a lot because it was not fashionable to be born again then. People were chased out of their families because they got born again. Some were disowned and deprived of educational sponsorship by their parents. Some others were denied wedding rights in their churches and even excommunicated. Times have changed so much, and things have too. Today, being born again has lost its meaning because every kind of person now speaks in tongues. This episode shows how persistence, genuine concern, and consistent influence can lead someone to Christ. It also reveals the inner struggles and societal pressures that come with making a life-changing decision. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Life is best built from the bottom up. I have learnt never to be afraid of tomorrow. God resides in tomorrow while He takes care of today. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. I eventually saved enough money to summon the courage to fix a date for my marriage. I told my parents and my wife's elder sister. My uncle happened to have married one of his wives from the same village as my wife. He was my emissary. I paid for every expenditure they made. I was buying anything that I set my eyes upon that I knew was needed for the ceremony. The date was set for 6th of December, 1985. God helped me, and I got a locum job with a clinic or Hibis hospital owned by Dr. Obasi. That increased my income. As the date of the marriage was getting near, the pressure on me was enormous. I had no helper. My elder brothers were not around. Some friends avoided me. I had to buy drinks on credit. The night before the marriage, I had a disagreement with my wife because of Tipkur Naira 50 Kobo. I realized I did not need to expect much from people. They had their own challenges. One of the lessons of my life is never to have an entitlement mentality. Nobody owes you anything. I spent a little over 3,000 Naira then. When the ceremony was over, I had about 70 Naira left. After transport, I had only 2 Naira 50 Kobo left with a pregnant wife. On the 13th of December 1985, we arrived at our home in Aba. I was 26 years old, with 2 Naira 50 Kobo, a pregnant wife, and nobody around. I was on my own. Life is best built from the bottom up. I have learnt never to be afraid of tomorrow. God resides in tomorrow while He takes care of today. On the 23rd of January 1986, at about 2:35 a.m., my wife delivered a male child. I can still vividly remember that moment. Life suddenly made more meaning. I learned to care for my baby, washing nappies, preparing things, and supporting my wife. When I went to work, I would run back home to see them. We grew closer as a couple. From childhood friends, we became partners in survival. Years later, when my son traveled abroad for medical training, I cried. When he crossed the airport counter, a part of me left with him. This episode captures the reality of starting life from nothing: marriage, responsibility, sacrifice, and growth. It shows how perseverance, discipline, and faith can transform hardship into legacy. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. The complete development of the personality of children needs a father figure who motivates and disciplines them. I learned that you do not need to be perfect to be a good father. You just need to be there for them. You might not have reached there, but point out the direction and tell them what is at the end of the road. Parents do not need to be perfect, but they can, by doing small things very well with dignity and godly principles, create models in the minds of their children. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. This powerful story reflects on family, sacrifice, discipline, and the values that shape destiny. Watch to the end and remember to get your copy of the book through the links in the description. Johnson Imekpu. Apoki was born sometime between 1908 and 1910. I did not really know him until I was about 3 or 4 years old because he lived in Warri, while we were in what was then Ofuoma village, now a town. What I remember most was when he asked that we leave the village and come to Warri around 1963 or 1964. It was a very exciting experience, moving to the township. Then, Warri was made up of small units separated by rivers or bushes. My father hardly beat a child. That was left for my mother to do. My father and mother were not intimate as one would have expected from the foundation of a levirate marriage. They had their fair share of problems that I have written about earlier. My father was a very hard-working man. He worked as a civil servant and mended mud houses for people. He also took the job of building new ones. It was a very tedious job. He had to cut the sticks for the building, tie them with ropes from water cane, dig laterite from a pit, and mix it with water to form a soft, sticky mass. The gaps in between the sticks were then filled with wet laterite, which would later solidify and dry to form a wall. He did this every day for as long as I could remember. We also had a farm around 1966 to 1967, but he was not a typical farmer. My father took his work very seriously. He was not a very social person by the time I knew him. He hardly drank alcohol. He could occasionally get excited and smoke a cigarette when he wanted to be mischievous. One day, the ash from the cigarette fell on his wrapper. The fire burnt through the wrapper onto the cushions that were made from cotton wool. It was only when his legs became hot and the smell of burning cotton became strong that he realized he was on fire. That was the last time I saw him smoke, because that wrapper was quite expensive and fine. He had his own style of life and took his business very seriously, even though it was a menial job. I learned not to mind what others say about the little things I am doing, so long as it is legal and helps feed my family. My father admired people like Nnamdi Azikiwe and other prominent Nigerian politicians like Awolowo, even though he was not educated. I still remember his involvement in a political rally that ended up in a fight. He ran for his dear life. I never saw him involved in a fight outside. The only fights were at home after my mother had pushed him to his limit. My father liked academics and professionals, even though we were poor. He adored suits like the double-breasted suit he called Double B. He hardly saw me wear suits. He had to question me one day why I did not dress like the other doctors he knew. Would I say I am a radical or a deviant? My father labored so hard to pay for my education. I was encouraged, pushed, and disciplined to acquire education from the best schools Nigeria had then. My academic success was a source of great joy to him. When I passed very well, he would ask me to jump, jump, and jump while calling me Charles, Charles, Charles. He would give a big smile. His teeth were not complete and were not clean, but it was a source of encouragement because he was my father. The complete development of the personality of children needs a father figure who motivates and disciplines them. I learned that you do not need to be perfect to be a good father. You just need to be there for them. You might not have reached there, but point out the direction and tell them what is at the end of the road. Parents do not need to be perfect, but they can, by doing small things very well with dignity and godly principles, create models in the minds of their children. My father did just that. Inside me is a framework of steel covered by a concrete of Christianity and a painting of education. That steel was put in me by observing my father labor. When I started ministry, I would carry bags of books with straps over my shoulder. My shoulders would peel off flakes of dead skin. I would sit in crammed buses to save money. I did many odd, non-illegal things below my status as a doctor, just to feed and train my family. Today, I drive an SUV to carry books to my programs. I could not buy fuel to preach with my car then. Today, I buy fuel costing much more every month. Those whose homes my father mended would come to Warri Hospital then, looking for Dr. Apoki. They would introduce themselves to me. They did not need to. I knew them. My mother-in-law worked very hard to train my wife. So we have this dual background of illiterate parents who spent so much effort to give academic inheritance to their children. We are thus indebted to our children to give them the best. Even when we could hardly feed, we sent our children to the most expensive schools around us and tried our best. We owe them that debt. This is the generational transaction that is absent in Nigeria now. Barack Obama retraced the route Abraham Lincoln took to his inauguration ceremony more than 150 years ago. During his campaign, Barack would mention his grandmother's sacrifice. Martin Luther King was a recurrent decimal. Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Mahatma Gandhi, Che Guevara, and Nasser of Egypt are currencies of generational transactions, as Abraham, Ruth, and Paul are currencies of spiritual transactions. My father warned me that sleeping with another man's wife would shorten your lifespan. So I have always stayed away from women, particularly other people's wives. What really is there in another man's wife? I grew up in a household where we respected another man's property. If you were found with anything that was not bought for you, it had to be returned to where you got it from. That is a lesson I learned early: integrity. My father loved his extended family because he benefited from it through the levirate marriage to my mother from his maternal side. All kinds of people crammed into our home from his maternal side. He had strong emotional attachment to them, even though most of these young men were not there when he needed them most in old age and paralysis. If not that he trained me and God helped me, he would have suffered a great deal. Learn this. Never neglect your children and your future because of church and extended family problems. When you need church people and members of your extended family most, you might not find them. Know it again. One day comes and you might be on your own. Plan for it. I am planning my life, with the help of God, to live an independent, fulfilled life in old age. I see a lot of old men who served God faithfully but did not plan for old age. My elder brothers displayed gross irresponsibility and craftiness, as I said earlier. Even their children showed so much wickedness by not visiting my parents, who were their grandparents, for even one day before their death. Their children also displayed this wickedness towards my two elder brothers, who were neglected by their children. I took some time to, at least within my ability, take care of the eldest, but when he died, his children came and organized a big burial ceremony. May God have mercy on them. My wife and I took very good care of my parents despite all the challenges we faced. The villagers who came for my father's burial could testify to this. My father had become bedridden because of old age and spinal cord injury complications for 8 years. We had built a house for them. He died after moving into that house. He lived there for only 3 days or so. I was informed that he was at the point of death. Before I could get there from Abba, about 3.5 hours away, he had died and was taken to the mortuary. My uncle told me that any time he told him I would soon be there, he would open his eyes and drift off again. The last memory I have of him is just before he was lowered into the grave. He was stone cold, with cotton wool in his nostrils, but he looked calm. His hair was silver grey. He had done his best. I was 31 years old. I miss my father every time I achieve some success. He should have been around to share these successes. I have lost all my brothers, my mother, and my auntie. There are times I feel exposed, but I have faith, I have a family, and I have Jesus. Polygamy is a major evil in our land. It distances children from their fathers and even creates enmities between fathers and children and amongst children. I have learned to firmly hold on to my family. This chapter reflects on the life and influence of a father whose hard work, discipline, and values shaped a generation. It highlights the importance of integrity, sacrifice, family responsibility, and long-term thinking. It also emphasizes planning for the future and maintaining strong family bonds despite challenges. Thank you for watching this episode from Lessons of My Early Life. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Share this with someone who needs these timeless lessons. God bless you. If you fail in ministry, blame no one, not even the devil. He did not call you. Do not blame your wife. She did not call you. As a man of God, your wife will misbehave occasionally. You will misbehave occasionally, and your children will misbehave occasionally. There are times when it seems everything is against you, but you must learn to hang on. Please note the following: they did not call you. They owe you no apology. It is you who chose to be a minister, so please try to win, cajole, beg, push, pray, and if possible, even force them to help you. However, you cannot blame them for your failure. You are not accountable to man, but to God. Seek your approval from God, not from people. Welcome to another powerful episode from the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies from Amazon. This chapter is filled with painful realities, hard-earned wisdom, lessons from ministry, sacrifice, disappointment, perseverance, and divine encounters that shaped a lifetime journey. As you listen, you may see parts of your own life in these experiences. 3 times Samuel was told by Eli, "I did not call you." It was then that Samuel settled down to hear from God. The year 2025 marks many years since I went into full-time ministry. From the very first day, I started to learn a hard lesson. Even if God had not called me into full-time ministry and I went into it on my own, the choice was mine and the consequences mine. Even if God had called me, the decision to accept was mine, the outcome was mine, and the outcome of my decisions is, to a great degree, mine. I learned to take responsibility for my life, my family, and the ministry. All my life, I have learned not to expect too much from people. One day, I had a preaching engagement and I met one of my in-laws who had grown up in my home when I was practicing medicine. I was so excited to see her, and I knew what to do to change her life. I had foolishly imagined that she would be excited to come to the church where I was preaching. She told me she was going to another church, a very big church. My spirit told me to take my eyes off people and place my focus on God, but that, when the chips were down, she would run to me. Some years later, she was in trouble and was arrested by the police. Her big pastor and church were not there for her, and she could not even reach them. It was my wife who eventually secured her release from detention, and my worker who signed her bail bond. When she sees me today, she runs towards me and kneels to greet me. Then, it was not so. She is no longer a member of that church. In the beginning, I hardly preached in the branches of the church that ordained me more than twice in 10 years. Even in my first pastor's church, which was led by a very good man, it took a while after it became obvious that I had made a name in ministry before I became a relatively frequent guest preacher. Many of those who showed interest in going with me to Ukeli to do ministry eventually chickened out when they saw the hardship I was going through. Spiritually, they said, "Sir, you are on your own." I had a young pastor from Lagos who said God told him to come and help me build a ministry. He came and worked with us. He lived in our home, and I was struggling to juggle family and ministry. When he saw the challenges, he escaped for his dear life without even informing me. He left the letter with someone on his way out of town. Another one came with the same story of God telling him to come and work with us. When he could no longer bear the challenges, he told me he was going for a 40-day fast. I asked myself if he wanted to break a mortuary to raise up all the dead people. I knew he was on the run. To this day, I have never set eyes on him. I had my elder brother's son living with us. I had expected that he would work with us. After some time, due to his misbehavior, he also shifted base. There was a funny incident that happened when we were building our school. We had reached the DPC level, and the building needed sand filling with laterite. I called him to come and help with the filling. He asked for the price and said he was coming back. He never returned. Now our school is one of the best in our town in terms of standards. He later came and asked for his son to be transferred from the school he was attending to our school. I told him he would pay his fees like any other child. I have many children on scholarship in our school, but this one would pay his fees, whether he was my elder brother's grandchild or not. My wife reminded him of his actions when we were building the school on the day he came to register his child. I eventually took 4 of his children into my school on scholarships. 1 died due to their negligence. I expelled the eldest from the school and my home. 2 of them are still on scholarship in my school, and 1 resides in my house. I had 1 member then. Now I know how crafty he was. When I started a church, he worked near the church. He looked as if he was a very devoted friend, but I noticed some things about him. He would pretend to be very close to me and show interest in what we were doing, but he saw the church as my own while he ran it as though it were his own. He would brazenly drink alcohol close to the church. Anything he did in church or in his relationship with me had to benefit him alone. He never once visited the school site while we were building, but he was eager to move over when it became habitable. Throughout the time I was building our residence, he never came there once. Since I moved in, he has never come once. When I bought an SUV, which most probably he wished he had been instrumental in sourcing, he was displeased. For nearly 2 months, he deliberately avoided me. I bought 4 vehicles after I gave out the church we were running then. I did not buy from him because I knew we were not of the same mindset. I gave out the church and moved on. I will buy a vehicle from him if it meets my specifications, but not because of relationship, for he had not in any way contributed to what God had done in my life. He did not call me. When we started the school, it was in the building of somebody from my mother's place. The house we were living in was also owned by somebody from my mother's place. When one of their grandchildren of school age was old enough to go to school, he was sent to another school. However, when she or any of them were sick, I would give them free medical consultation and sometimes even bring drips from my home to fix free of charge. At one point, I had to buy fish for her to cook after her husband died. I had a funny experience one time. An organization that one of her children belonged to invited me to speak to 8 kings. I spoke with all my energy. I never got any honorarium from her, but my rent was increased the same month. When I complained, I was calmly and plainly told that if I was not interested, I should move out, back to the place where the school started. When the landlady suffered fire burns, I was the one who physically carried her to hospital. When she was healed, any time her children were compelled to follow simple instructions, she would threaten to withdraw her children. One day, we called off the bluff and asked her to withdraw her children, and we moved on to our own building. There was my uncle, who did not know where I lived and had never visited me from 1984 till 2017. When his son needed money, he sent him to me. I could not even recognize him. If you fail in ministry, blame no one, not even the devil. He did not call you. Do not blame your wife. She did not call you. My wife has been my physical strength. When everybody ran away, she was there. She has labored to make sure we succeeded in ministry. Eke Elianya Onuma and his wife Vera were there right from the beginning. He introduced me to the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International, and his home was open to my wife and me anytime we came to Aba. Dr. and Mrs. Zik Ikeora were there from the beginning. They supported and encouraged me financially at the start. Brother Chuma Okoroafor, now Reverend, and his wife Edna were consistent in funding us and sending materials that indeed helped us during the most difficult parts of ministry from the United States of America. My children sacrificed so much, but Ufwoma stands out as a pillar in the home. He took up the challenge of typing our books. He would stay awake even though he was young. He would work and sacrifice. There was a time his trousers became too short, and he would pull them up to his buttocks just to be able to wear them. Reverend John Eze and his wife, Vero, were there right from the beginning. They were the first people to invite me when I went into full-time ministry. For more than 10 years, they were consistent in their relationship with me. Reverend Dr. Chidi Okoroafor was the first to take me to Togo, and he has been consistently brotherly and supportive despite his obvious challenges. One man I must not fail to mention is Reverend Benson German. He behaves as if he owes me a duty to protect me. Wherever he has gone on transfer, he would take me there to preach. He would introduce me to his friends. God has been faithful in bringing people across my path. Reverend Major Myriga was an assistant director of chaplaincy services in the Army. Since we met many years ago, he consistently took me around Army formations in the country to preach. He invested so much in my life, though I have not seen him for many years now. Late Reverend Barrister Azuka Obi became a source of blessing to me around 1997. Even though it was Reverend Dr. Chidi Okoroafor who introduced me into the Assemblies of God Church, Reverend Azuka Obi introduced me to the National Council of the Church and took me to many zones of the church to preach. He was a father who took great effort to promote young men like me. He would even reduce his preaching time so that I could preach longer. He was a man of very high spiritual consecration, but was ready to tolerate our mistakes, pray for us, and even advertise us without highlighting our errors. As a man of God, your wife will misbehave occasionally, you will misbehave occasionally, and your children will misbehave occasionally. There are times when it seems everything is against you, but you must learn to hang on. Please note the following: they did not call you. They owe you no apology. It is you who chose to be a minister, so please try to win, cajole, beg, push, pray, and if possible, even force them to help you. However, you cannot blame them for your failure. You are not accountable to man, but to God. Seek your approval from God, not from people. If you strive to please man, one day you will find yourself seeking his applause, only to discover that his hands are on other things and you are not his priority. Depend on God for everything in ministry, but he will use good men to bring them to pass. Avoid bitterness with people. When things are better, people become better towards you. When the chips are down, you are on your own. That is the hard truth ministry teaches many people. Before you go, remember this: people may disappoint you, circumstances may humble you, but responsibility, endurance, and faith in God will keep you moving forward. Thank you for listening to this episode from Lessons of My Early Life. If this message inspired you, encouraged you, or strengthened your faith, kindly purchase the complete book using the links in the description below. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow for more life-transforming episodes. God bless you. The day I graduated has been one of the best days of my life. We waited for the results for about 4 days, and finally, one wet evening at about 3 p.m., we heard that the result was to be pasted. We went towards the notice board in the College of Medicine. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. The day I graduated has been one of the best days of my life. We waited for the results for about 4 days, and finally, one wet evening at about 3 p.m., we heard that the result was to be pasted. We went towards the notice board in the College of Medicine. The result was pasted, and the glass covers were closed. For a few seconds, no one was bold enough to approach the board. Then we surged towards it. At that moment, every man was for himself. Always remember that, no matter what, there is a point when you answer your Father's name. Every man was on his own. I also surged forward, and I searched for my number with great fear because I had not paid my fees. Nobody knew, but I was scared that they might not release my result because I had not paid my fees. I did not see my number on time, but I saw it, 205,954, and I ran away. I ran back to make sure it was true, and indeed, it was true. I had eventually become a medical doctor. I was the first graduate from my family and the second medical doctor from my village. That was in 1984. There was a great party with lots of drinks. People came from the main campus of the University of Ibadan. Suddenly, I was a changed person. My lecturers were calling me their junior colleague. I remember a good friend of mine who had been a faithful friend. He did not pass all his papers, so his name did not appear. He shut his room door as all the celebrations were going on. I know him to be extremely intelligent, but he took the final year examinations casually. He was distracted by club activities. He eventually passed those exams, and today he is one of the most successful doctors from our set. What I learnt is that there is a time for everything. I saw my diary for that year. I wrote in it as far back as March 1984 to start preparing for the examination. I prepare for every academic or intellectual activity a long time before it is due. I meditate on my messages days before I preach them. Without boring you, I learnt to compartmentalize my life. I will not compromise my family life for ministry. I will not allow church activities to destroy my business, and I will not allow business to destroy my family life and spiritual life. Every man eventually answers his Father's name. Try and strike a balance. I receive a lot of invitations every year to preach. I know I am doing God's work, but many of these pastors are just interested in their own future and fortune. They are not ready to cultivate any relationship with you. They do not even call you to know if you have arrived safely at home. When you need them in times of need, they are hardly around. If you run a ministry that is deliverance-based, in old age, if you do not plan your ministry well, you will be lonely. That day, people's destinies separated. There are people I have never seen again since that day in 1984. Just to let you know how this issue has affected me from childhood, I did not put my picture in my class yearbook, as I said earlier. I think I need to think deeper into my past to know why I have this philosophy of independence and being a recluse, and at the same time, a public figure. When I started ministry, I also experienced this, and I will write about it, about what life has taught me through ministry. I eventually got a vehicle to see my wife-to-be, Felicia, in the University of Benin Teaching Hospital, UBTH. Every man needs a woman or wife he wants to impress with his success. That is why male animals display colors to attract females or even fight to the death to have the right to mate. The vehicle could not move fast enough in my mind. I wanted to tell everybody I met that I was Dr. Apoki OC. I eventually met her and told her I had graduated. I can't remember her response, but she is hardly excited about anything. I can only remember about 5 times I have seen her excited, and one of them was when Barack Obama won the US presidential election. When my daughter wedded, she was very excited. When my granddaughter was born, I equally saw a new part of her. Maybe I need to buy her a fine car. I can't remember how my parents heard about it because my father was living with his senior wife and my mother had relocated to my father's paternal village, Otokutu. I had to squat with my late friend, Igho Akpomadaye, throughout my medical school days. Thank God we hardly had holidays. Graduation did not immediately change my situation, even though my status had changed. I still needed to beg for money to travel. There were times when I did not know where I would eat my next meal after graduation. There was something that I must not fail to write about. This occurred in 1983 when I needed money to pay my school fees of just N95. It is not a typographic error. 95 naira was the school fees. Then the dollar was 50 kobo, so the school fees were 190 USD. You can see the privileges my generation enjoyed, and we have deprived the next generation of these same privileges. Some of my friends had graduated and were working, and I knew they could give me this money, but I returned to school without the money. I barely managed to get to school, but I passed the exam. I learned a very good lesson about life. When the chips are down, you will answer your father's name. Please don't get bored with this lesson of my life. I watched a short clip online of a zebra that was held by a crocodile as they crossed a river. All the other members of its clan stopped and watched as it pulled the crocodile out of the river upland, while the crocodile pulled it towards the water, its area of comparative advantage. At a point, the crocodile had the upper hand and pulled the animal into the water. Just before it could drown the animal, 2 hippos came from nowhere and chased the crocodile away. The animal limped towards its group. The other members of the clan could have trampled on the crocodile with their hooves, injured it, or even killed it, but they stood aloof. The 2019 presidential election was an eye-opener. My friend was a senatorial candidate of a party in a state where he was a governor. Large crowds gathered to listen to his speeches, but he lost in a state where he had done so much for the poor. Even if he was rigged out by his own tribesmen. Don't base your future and happiness on another person's budget or pocket. You never can tell. He might have his own problems. You never can tell when a lizard has abdominal pain. At that point, when your problem is not part of the agenda of your friends, family, or church, pray that a hippopotamus or two will come to your rescue. That someone or a group of people does not help you is not a reason for enmity. Learn to move on. They might be of greater help later. I now needed a place to do my internship as a doctor, and UBTH was the best option because I did not apply to the University College Hospital, UCH, Ibadan. I wanted to be close to my parents, who were now quite old. I went to my elder brother to see if he knew somebody there, because I was told that I needed connections. I suddenly realized that the reality of public life was different from the idea of the university environment. I knew nobody, so I asked for any old boy of GCU among the doctors. I was given a few names. I went to the block where their offices were, and I saw many doctors with the ship, a symbol of GCU, and I knocked on one of them. I was ushered into an office, and I introduced myself as an old boy and said that I needed a space to do my internship. He asked for my name, and after a few days, I got a letter of invitation for an interview by hand. By the time I got into the interview hall, about half of the panel were old boys of GCU. It was a foregone conclusion. I gradually started to understand some of the rules of life. The schools you attended, the persons your father knows, and those who know your father are some of the things that give you a little leverage in life that can make a great difference. It is after then that the contribution you make to humanity, your performance, and your products subsequently follow. I did not enjoy my stay in UBTH. I had symptoms of anxiety neurosis based on a combination of factors: the stress of the work, lack of money, and frequent illnesses. One day I fell when the ambulance came to call me for an emergency case. The ambulance had to carry me to the hospital. Recently, a resident doctor on duty collapsed and died. I had to resign and change jobs to complete my internship at the Warri Specialist Hospital or Central Hospital. I could not go for the convocation ceremony because I did not have transport fare to go to Ibadan. I was tired of begging for money in my life. I would not have had a suit to wear. I borrowed clothes for matriculation. Must I now borrow clothes for convocation 5 years later? I swore to God to punish poverty. Thank God I was in Europe for my son's graduation ceremony. When I got to Warri, I was among people who loved me, in an environment that was more friendly, and in a hospital that reminded me of a past that I had overcome. I was now living in the GRA, just a short distance from the slum where I grew up, and a little distance from Damba Damba, which nearly distracted me from my education. I was now living in the same area where I used to pluck guava fruits from people's trees. On one of the days when I used to do that, my shirt was seized by the workers in one of the compounds. Many of the things you want to do prematurely will be so abundantly available in the future that you will regret why you sacrificed a great and ripe future for an unripe one that will put your teeth on edge. That is the problem with premarital sex and teenage pregnancies. That is the problem with driving your parents' cars without their knowledge. If you have a vision-propelled life, what you lack now might become abundantly suffocating in the future. I have received several phone calls to speak as I am writing this book. When I came into Ughelli and its environs nearly 20 years back, there were not many people who knew me. Even my denomination, as I wrote earlier in this book, hardly invited me to speak. However, it is now like a tsunami. Everything has its time and seasons. Just prepare, plan, position yourself, and persevere in the pursuit of excellence. This is another point you must also note. An environment can affect your health, performance, and your future. I have hardly fallen sick since then. I am very sensitive to my environment. The area where I went to preach while writing this book years back would have killed me if I lived there for 1 year. The place where I wrote this paragraph is the kind of place I had wanted to reside many years back. My residence is in an elite area of Ugheli. There is a place called there. This episode reflects on the defining moment of graduation, the separation of destinies, and the realities of life beyond school. It emphasizes preparation, independence, perseverance, and the importance of environment, relationships, and timing in shaping one's future. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Behind every visible achievement lies years of sacrifice, discipline, rejection, consistency, and faith. Building a brand is not merely about popularity. It is about building values, systems, credibility, consistency, and evidence over time. Welcome to another powerful episode from the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies from Amazon. At a point in Aba, I became deeply dissatisfied with the life I was living. My wife knew there were dreams I carried within me, dreams shaped by my training, my exposure, and the expectations of my contemporaries. Yet it felt as though we had slowed down on the autobahn of life. I needed to return to my dreams and redefine my future. Aba gradually became uninspiring to me. The church environment I once loved started to feel restrictive and repetitive. I discovered that Aba admired commerce and instant miracles more than intellectual depth. Strange manifestations fascinated people more than truth and discernment. That reality explained why false prophets easily flourished in the eastern part of Nigeria. I needed a fresh beginning. Though I had become fairly popular among different denominations and within the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship International, I knew popularity alone was not enough. I told my wife that I needed to reconfigure my life completely. Even after relocating to Ugheli and running the church there for about 2 years, I realized I was gradually recreating the same life I had tried to escape in Aba. I wanted a life I could truly be proud of. To achieve that, I needed financial stability and a system that could support the vision we carried. My wife and I concluded that we had to become both productive and frugal. The question Elisha asked the widow in 2 Kings chapter 4, 1-7 became our guiding principle. What do you have of sale value in the house? The answer was obvious: intellectual property. Our products would be my books and recorded messages. God used people like Reverend Chuma Okoroafo and his wife Edna to help us take the first steps. They sent us 2 cassette duplicating machines, and a young lady later opened my eyes to how much people were already benefiting from my messages. We began recording messages professionally in a studio owned by George Banks at Ukegbu Road, Ogbo Hill, Aba. I deliberately focused my teachings on practical Christianity, what works, how it works, and how people could apply it to real life. But I knew that for people to take me seriously, I needed evidence. Evidence preaches louder than theology. To produce evidence, I studied men who had produced visible results. Among our models were Benson Idahosa, Reverend Emma Okori, and David Oyedepo. My wife and I worked tirelessly. We ignored criticism, mockery, and discouragement from pastors, relatives, and even people who barely knew us. I committed myself to writing books, pamphlets, and recording messages consistently. Eventually, my wife experienced her own breakthrough. Together with our son, Ufwoma, she started producing nursery and primary school books. Marketing them was difficult at first. We moved from school to school and town to town. Sometimes, while my wife shopped in the market, I sat in the car writing manuscripts. Our materials were different from the typical Pentecostal products people were used to. The books were short, affordable, practical, and easy to read. The titles were unconventional, books like "Money is an Idiot." I preached messages that reflected the future I was pursuing. Many listeners identified with those teachings because they also desired transformation and success. By God's grace, the principles worked, not only for me, but for countless listeners. Gradually, this brand of ministry became highly sought after. Cooperatives, men's fellowships, organizations, and churches started inviting me regularly. I chose to preach truth boldly and directly. I addressed issues many ministers avoided and challenged several unhealthy doctrines openly. Some pastors became afraid to invite me, but that did not disturb me. My wife never sat on the altar platform. She either stayed outside with the books or remained in the car selling materials. Those sales helped us pay school fees and eventually finance the building of our school. Living a quiet and somewhat reclusive life preserved me. Over time, many who once avoided me became surprised when larger denominations began inviting me repeatedly. I also chose a contrarian lifestyle. I refused to imitate the flamboyant lifestyle common among many Nigerian pastors. That decision attracted a different audience, people who appreciated simplicity, discipline, and authenticity. My wife and I discovered that continuous reinvestment was essential for growth. We invested in virtually every legitimate opportunity we could afford. The books, cassettes, and later CDs sold rapidly and became a steady source of income. There was a period we sold sugarcane, sachet water, popcorn, plantain chips, lollipops, and several small products. We were applying what I later called the philosophy of the ant. My younger friends, especially Marcus Ekura, nicknamed it the Krokroko principle, the philosophy of gradual and consistent progress. Over time, many people adopted this principle as a way of life. When you know where you are going and understand how to get there, you must be willing to walk alone. Success eventually attracts followers. Criticism and mockery are inevitable, but results silence arguments better than explanations. Because I had lived among the Igbos in southeastern Nigeria and absorbed much of their industrious mindset, I had learnt not to depend on people's approval. Results were the true validation. As our school began to grow, we intentionally built it around discipline, excellence, and integrity. The school motto became righteousness and excellence. When we opened the school, I personally wrote letters to residents in the community, informing them that we intended to run a unique institution. We insisted on neatness, discipline, proper conduct, and academic standards. Resistance came immediately. But I have never been afraid of confrontation where standards are concerned. Some parents withdrew their children. Others had their children expelled. We introduced entrance examinations and refused to admit students who could not meet our standards. Some influential parents attempted to manipulate placements, but we resisted firmly. At one point, the daughter of a king failed her examinations. Her mother pleaded for promotion to the next class, but my wife refused. Eventually, the king himself came in full regalia to plead. I told him plainly, Education is sacred. The girl repeated the class. As the institution expanded, we made our recruitment process rigorous. In my office, there is a chair called the hot seat, where job candidates are interviewed. Some candidates have cried during interviews. I remember a young lady who came dressed like a social media celebrity, but could not answer basic questions. I eventually called her mother to complain about her presentation. 2 years later, she returned much more mature, and we employed her. I discovered that many people approach responsibilities carelessly, and I developed zero tolerance for negligence. Some workers attempted to challenge standards, but I did not hesitate to dismiss those who brought careless attitudes into our organization. Eventually, I realized something powerful. Performance, reputation, and integrity naturally create recommendation and commendation. Initially, we never advertised the school because I believed our results should speak for us. After all, universities like Harvard University, Stanford University, University of Oxford, and University of Cambridge rarely advertise themselves. Today, we have become a recognized brand in Ughelli and beyond. My wife's philosophy has been simple. You must never meet us where and the way you left us. That principle has continually pushed us toward improvement. We also decided never to take bank loans. Our bankers know we are loan averse. It became part of our identity. We do not owe workers or suppliers because I believe people who trust you deserve prompt payment. Punctuality also became a non-negotiable value. One day, I drove from Sapele to Ozoro for a 5 p.m. youth meeting organized by people from my denomination. I arrived by 4:45 p.m., but the host was absent. By 5:25 p.m., he still had not arrived. I drove away. When he pleaded with me, I asked him a simple question. If a famous bishop were coming, would you keep him waiting? He admitted they would not. I told him I refused to be treated carelessly. Some initially interpreted my firmness as pride, but eventually they understood that I simply valued discipline and excellence. My radio ministry later transformed the reach of the work completely. Every Wednesday morning at 6:30 a.m., my broadcast aired on Quest FM 93.1. Initially, I hesitated because the annual cost was enormous. Yet God remained faithful. Eventually, the Salimo Witz Foundation sponsored the program. One day, while lying face down praying about how to pay for the next broadcast installment, I received calls from listeners ordering books and CDs worth large amounts of money. Within a short time, I received alerts totaling 200,000 naira. It felt like divine reassurance. Gradually, the program exploded in popularity. Millions of listeners tuned in weekly. People from several states called regularly. Churches, cooperatives, banks, fellowships, and organizations started inviting me to speak. The Word and Wisdom Conference grew tremendously, with nearly 70% of attendees coming through the radio broadcast. The ministry became a church without walls. People from different denominations attended: Catholics, Baptists, Pentecostals, traditional religion practitioners, and even Muslims. Another major breakthrough came through Dr. Apoki's blog, which my son, Ufoma, established. Readers from over 100 countries eventually accessed the platform. Through radio, blogging, conferences, books, and schools, the vision expanded beyond what I ever imagined in the early difficult years. Today, opportunities continue to come from various sectors: universities, cooperatives, churches, corporations, and institutions. But behind every visible achievement lies years of sacrifice, discipline, rejection, consistency, and faith. Building a brand is not merely about popularity. It is about building values, systems, credibility, consistency, and evidence over time. Thank you for listening to this episode from Lessons of My Early Life. If this message inspired you, encouraged you, or strengthened your faith, kindly purchase the complete book using the links in the description below. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow for more life-transforming episodes. God bless you. I learnt in life that there are some things you should not allow yourself to get involved in. The contamination might be like radioactive contamination. Radioactive material might be small, but the effect might last long. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Leaving UBTH was a big relief for me. The workload was very strenuous, and as I had said earlier, it affected my health. Another disturbing aspect was that our salaries were not paid on time. My basic salary as a house officer was about 350 naira. Then, the dollar was about 50 kobo. That is, my salary was about $700. Being owed salaries for someone like me was quite stressful, bearing in mind that I had just managed to survive medical school financially, and I had old parents to cater for. I must confess that the kind of friends we had were quite supportive. We could depend on each other for food, accommodation, love, clothing, and shoes. Anybody's home was everybody's home. Then, in the Alderstown axis, we could migrate from the home of the Ekokos to the Czechs, from there to the Ikomis, from the Ikomis to Ejur's place, and from Ejur's place to the Akpomadayas. The Akiris, Ayakpimis, and many households I can't remember now were of different tribal backgrounds. Our parents might not even know each other. We did not even know each other's villages, but we were like a family. Every mother took us as her children. We hardly saw the fathers. We related more with the mothers because the fear of some fathers was the beginning of wisdom then. We were not gangsters like today because we had a strong desire to go to school and graduate. And today, many of us are graduates and well-to-do. We shared great dreams and desires. We loved ourselves and defended each other. We argued very strongly, but we had our boundaries. There was no stealing, there were hardly any smokers around us, and no drug users. We treated our ladies with respect because we had some ladies as part of the crowd. This made coming to Warri Hospital give a feeling of being in good company and in a familiar environment. I now lived in the former European quarters of Warri, and the workload in the hospital, even though hectic, was more practical and relevant to me because I had made up my mind to be in general practice. The consultants we worked with gave us a good opportunity to understudy them and put into practice what we had learnt from them. We also had the opportunity to do some private practice that brought in some extra cash. There were two evils that I was introduced to at the Warri Central Hospital. One was abortions. This was quite rampant amongst house officers, and the Warri environment was very morally loose, and unwanted pregnancies were very common. As I reflect on that aspect of my life, I regret ever getting involved in such unholy and criminal acts. Thank God for the blood of Jesus that cleanses our past. I sometimes have panic attacks when I reflect on so many things that could have gone wrong and how my future could have been marred. The other aspect was promiscuity. As young house officers, women flocked to our residences. Each wanted to get married to a doctor. They came in droves, and their skirts also came down fast, too. I learnt in life that there are some things you should not allow yourself to get involved in. The contamination might be like radioactive contamination. Radioactive material might be small, but the effect might last long. The issue of sexual immorality is not funny. The church and parents do not know the degree of moral looseness of their children, particularly the females. I have come to realize that the females are usually the losers. They lose their honor and dignity. They are the ones whose academics suffer if they get pregnant. They suffer the pain and the risk of criminal abortions. Most of such relationships do not end up in marriages. If the abortions lead to infertility, the women suffer. If the abortion leads to death, it is the family of the girl that suffers loss. Many young, unbelieving ladies and loose Christian girls go into marriage with old scars of disappointment after sexual misuse and abuse by selfish and predatory male sexual explorers. Most young male sexual adventurists are outrightly predatory and selfish. My experience of temporary moral looseness nearly ruined my spiritual makeup. The good thing that happened was that I got married immediately after then. I also got born again immediately I left internship for my National Youth Service. Living in Aba separated me from my friends who were reluctant to come. Everyone was struggling to make a meaning out of life then. My early marriage also scared some of them away from me. We also had model Christian homes to emulate, both in church and in fellowship groups. The healthcare delivery system in Nigeria is better studied from within, not outside or from above. One of the major problems in our healthcare system is poor pay. From nurses, pharmacists, doctors to ward maids, the social structure is too poor. The consequence of this is that hospital workers look for ways to supplement their meager salaries by different unethical means. Lack of equipment poses another serious challenge to good healthcare delivery. Patients were milked dry by staff by demanding basic things that should have been available in the hospitals. One lesson I learnt very early in practice is the insincerity of government officials and civil servants in the discharge of their duties and their pronouncements. I made up my mind then never to work in the public sector or do contracts. Since then, I have hardly had business dealings with government. The unhealthy rivalry and enmity amongst senior hospital members of staff were terrible. I was shocked to see trained professionals whipping up tribal sentiments against their professional colleagues. This is one of the things that has formed my lifestyle. I hate rivalry. I prefer to move at my own pace. No matter how slow, I will get there. Your there might not be my there. The same rivalry is very prevalent amongst Pentecostal pastors. In many cases, it is subtle, but there are times when it becomes devilish. When elections into church positions are to take place, that is when you will see the devil in some men of God. My deduction from what I saw then, and even later in church, is that hypocrisy and insincerity are like a way of life to most people. In the Warri Hospital then, the most fraudulent and unethical practitioners were the most popular amongst the junior staff and even the patients and their relatives. I hardly attend meetings because what many say in meetings is very far from what they stand for. We usually start our ceremonies with opening prayers, after which we continue with lies, backstabbing, and evil schemes. That is why Nigerian politicians criticize policies that were formulated while they were in office. Why did you not speak out then, or resign if you were opposed to such policies? Dr. Victor Oregbu, my consultant surgeon, stood out amongst the lot in terms of skill and discipline. He was readily available to train us as young doctors. I acquired a lot of surgical skills from him. He did very neat surgeries with very minimal bleeding. I also learned how to close the skin in such a way that the scar tissue was minimal. I was happy to leave Warri for youth service. However, I had set the ball rolling for family life. As I mentioned earlier, I was not a Christian at that time, and there were some events that happened that formed my destiny, which I will write about in a later chapter. This episode highlights key lessons from early medical practice, resilience in hardship, the power of supportive relationships, the dangers of moral compromise, and the realities of professional life. It also emphasizes integrity, discipline, and the importance of choosing one's path carefully despite environmental pressures. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. You do not need to carry a briefcase and wear a collar before you can win souls. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. People like Brother Chike Ezen-Wan Melaku, now Reverend Chike Samuelson, Dr. and Mrs. Zik Ikorha, who were Anglicans, and Dr. Utegbulam, are brethren who must be commended for remaining in the Anglican communion even amid great challenges and misunderstanding. Today, the Anglican communion has experienced a great change. We got home and we continued drinking beer. One day, the people from the fellowship came and met my wife and me drinking beer. One of them showed her disapproval, but another said that they should leave us alone and that God would take the appetite from us. That is what happened. The desire for beer just died a natural death. Even though I had smoked cigarettes occasionally, I did not really like the habit, but I could tolerate the smoke. Once I got born again, the odor became very irritating. Abortion had stopped immediately after I had a child. The Living Word Ministries had no churches then, so we did not have any church to attend, and I could not remember when I last attended any church as at then. So my wife and I got dressed, took our child, and went to a Catholic church, but they spoke only the Igbo language. The next Sunday, we went to a church near us. They welcomed us and gave us cold, soft drinks after the service. I was so impressed by their hospitality. The following Sunday, we got dressed and went to church, only to be told that the church had a leadership crisis and had split. We went home disappointed. I finished youth service about 3 months later, still holding on to my salvation and attending that fellowship, but with no church to attend. My wife and I got jobs in Aba in a private hospital built by a semi-literate businessman, Royal Hospital. A nurse, Sister Emily, had made the contact for us. I was to work with an Indian doctor, Dr. Nair, who was about to leave the country. I was to earn 1,500 naira a month, while my wife would earn 500 naira a month. We had a large 4-bedroom house, a Volkswagen Beetle car, and a 1-month paid leave. The initial contract was for 2 years. 1,500 naira in 1986 was about 7 times what I was earning as a youth corps member. For us, it was big money. We decided to survive on the 500 paid to my wife and save the 1,500 naira paid to me. Our struggles to get a church to attend ended when we started work at Royal Hospital. I told the owner of the hospital that we wanted to go to church on Sunday. He took us to Christ the King Cathedral, Aba, where they speak English, because he was a Roman Catholic. On getting there, the crowd had overflowed close to the gates. I have never liked pushing in a crowd, so we turned back. On our way back, I heard people speaking English in a church at number 102 St. Michael's Road, Aba. We stopped and went in, and it turned out to be the Church of God Mission. We had a good reception, and that was how our search ended. Lessons I learned from my experience are that there are many people out there seeking to know God. They need the right people, right approach, right pressure, right environment, and right message to win them to Christ. You do not need to carry a briefcase and wear a collar before you can win souls. Imagine that those trainee auxiliary nurses were the ones who really pushed, and I know, prayed me to Christ. I still remember their names: Miss Eletuo, then Nkechi Ayangwa, later Mrs. Nkechi Uzaga, and her sister Nena. When people call me to preach, they do not know that it was little girls then who pushed me to Christ. You can preach and pray your boss, father, mother, and landlord to Christ. How many people get lost in transit because of the kind of challenges I faced in trying to locate a church? People must be properly followed up for them to be properly rooted in their faith. This episode highlights transformation after salvation, the struggle to find the right spiritual environment, and the power of consistent influence in winning souls. It reminds us that anyone can be used by God to change a life. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. We became friends, then later lovers. I do not know what she liked in me because I did not have much to offer. I had no home, no clothes, and no money, but I had hope. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Be inspired as you listen, and don't forget to purchase your copy using the links in the description. I met Felicia sometime around 1980 when we were on holiday from medical school. I was living with my late friend in Warri. I cannot really recall what attracted me to her, but she was a friend and classmate of my friend's younger sister, Christy. The first question I asked her was what she wanted to become in life. I cannot remember her answer, but I can still remember where she was sitting. I suspect she said she wanted to become a teacher. Even though I was young at 21, I had started thinking about the kind of woman I would like to marry. Sexual issues were freely discussed in my household and in the morally loose environment in which we lived. I had become sexually active and immoral at a very early age, while still in primary school. By the time I was in secondary school, I had known and done things I should not have been involved in. By the time I met Felicia, I have had some relationships. I was not innocent, but I was sincere. Before I set out for her home, I told God that if the mission was not going to be of benefit to me, she should not agree to my proposal. Remember, I was a lousy unbeliever praying to God. I told her point blank that I wanted somebody I would grow up with and marry, and that I was coming back for an answer. She has not answered till today, but I married her, and we are still married many years after. We became friends, then later lovers. I do not know what she liked in me because I did not have much to offer. I had no home, no clothes, and no money, but I had hope. I had all the opportunities to be useless. I drank alcohol with my mother. She got to meet Felicia after I suspected that she had agreed to my proposal. My mother then lived in a mud house at Okere. There was no electricity and no running water. I had nothing to offer but hope. She did not know where I was from. Everybody called me Apoki, and I deceived her that I was from the north. I suspect she knew I was joking. She was very reserved and quiet. I never knew she could talk until now. The children and her workers are responsible for that, not me, I swear. She was so shy. I never knew she would turn out to be so sharp-eyed like an eagle. A woman is a book. You know what is in her not from the title or the cover, but as you open the pages and read them. You can never know the next chapter until you get to that page. You might need to meditate on what you are reading before you can make meaningful deductions. Right from the onset, I found out that she was ready to share anything she had with me. That spirit is traceable to her mother, who enjoys giving. Her elder sister welcomed me into her household and treated me with respect, but I never took things for granted. We never wanted to bring shame by behaving badly in public. I remember the night we went to watch a film, 4 of us, and she had to get home on time to avoid trouble. I was interested in her becoming a nurse, so I encouraged her to get the School of Nursing form, especially because we had a friend like an elder sister, Florence, who was studying nursing at UBTH then. She passed the entrance examination and gained admission. Before then, however, I remember that she did not get all her papers in the WAEC examinations. So I asked her to go back to school and sit for the examinations. She did and passed. It was after that that she went to the School of Nursing at UBTH. I occasionally went to visit her because our academic schedules kept us in school most of the time. It was also a big relief for me because she was earning an allowance as a student, and sometimes, when things got very bad, she gave me some money. One day, we stood in front of UBTH, and the only money in my hand was 5 naira that she had withdrawn and given to me. As we walked towards the Lagos-Benin Express Road, I told her that I would want our children to have her facial features while having my brains. She told me that if she were in my shoes, she would have stopped school. I had hope. I had made up my mind to be a doctor. Nothing was going to stop me. I remember that during her first examination, I sent her a success postcard every day for nearly a month. I was excited by the fact that I had her as a future wife. I was very faithful to her, but some time later, the influence of companionship nearly destroyed the commitment I had towards her. I will spare you the ugly details. Since we got married in 1985, I have remained faithful to her. I found her early to be very reliable and focused. She is also very strong-willed, which I failed to notice initially. Once she is focused on an issue, she wants it concluded and done fast. She cannot tolerate postponement, laziness, or waste of time. I have learned to harness those strengths. My wife is a strong woman emotionally and physically. She can bear pain, stress, and hardship. She works harder than a man and would put any man on his toes when it comes to work. She also hates dirtiness and disorder. She wants things properly placed and neatly arranged. There are 3 things my wife hates most. 1 is lies. Never tell her lies. If she finds out, you are deleted from her list of responsible people. She hates houseflies. I do not know why. And she cannot tolerate human excrement. You cannot push my wife or intimidate her, no matter who you are, including me. I negotiate with her and convince her, or I leave her in the hands of God. He does it better than I do. We had very bitter quarrels and fights when I did not know how to manage this. For the first 5 years, we could not manage this difference in personality between us. My wife hates to beg or depend on people. I hear of women wearing other people's clothes to parties. Never would my wife do that. She is a good administrator of finances, so I let her manage our finances. But even if she has a large sum of money, she still expects me to pay for a bottle of soft drink, even if she would eventually buy something worth 1,000 times more for me. That is how women behave. They value the little things we do as husbands more than the big ones. My wife is not a good storyteller and has very few friends. I can only remember one, apart from me. Never speak evil of another person in my wife's presence as gossip. You will only end up reducing your value in her eyes. Duty is duty. Do not come and sit near her to chat if she has something to do. Do not be surprised if she leaves you to face her responsibility. This makes her the propeller of the engine of the home. Her closest business partner is our third child, Ufuoma, who is also a recluse and a workaholic. They have a business partnership. She has an unlimited ability to forgive me. I am not the best of husbands. I am not very romantic, and I hardly buy gifts for her, but I love her. I was in a shopping mall in Europe with my eldest son, Mimi, when she called me on the phone and told me not to buy anything for her. I try my best sometimes. At least the dress she wore today, I bought it from Australia. I learnt early that Europeans marry those they love, but I have chosen to love the person I married. It is a command, a duty, and a responsibility. She would argue with me on as many subjects as possible. I usually got angry over it, but recently I discovered that she learns and adopts those things we initially argued over. So, when I make my point and the arguments continue, I have learnt to stop. You do not win arguments in marriage. It is of no benefit to anyone. My wife cannot tolerate any person, no matter how close, who attempts to take me for granted. You will see a lioness emerge from her if you mess with Yonvbe. That is what she calls me. But she has hardly ever told me that I am a great man. She is old school and not very romantic. I occasionally tell her that we are two business partners. I never seem to get enough of her. I have come to be addicted to her, but I have also not known her to be very romantic. So, we have our style, and it has worked for us. Every husband and wife must identify their strengths and weaknesses, harness their strengths, ameliorate their weaknesses, and make the best of their marriage. That you quarrel and even fight does not mean you have a bad marriage or that you are bad people. It might just be that you have not learned how to manage your challenges. After all, there was war in heaven. It does not make God bad or heaven bad. Resolve your crises with love and evolve your marriage. I nearly forgot to tell you that she is the best cook I know. This episode reflects on love, growth, and understanding in marriage. It shows that relationships are built not on perfection, but on commitment, patience, and continuous learning. True love is not just found. It is built over time through responsibility, sacrifice, and mutual respect. If this inspired you, kindly get your copy of the book using the links in the description and share it with someone who needs it. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. No matter what men display outside, if you see any man with one wife who is living in peace with her, know that the woman is in control, though the man is in charge. The takeover bid is not hostile, and it is the cause of many quarrels in the first 5 years of marriage. Most men want to control and be in charge, and the home becomes charged. Welcome back to another episode based on the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Mrs. Angela is my wife's elder sister and the one who raised her. I met my wife while she was living with her. She was like a mother to her and a disciplinarian compared to what we see today. I did not sneak into her household. Even though I was young, I really came with a mind to marry Felicia, but there were things she would not tolerate. One day we went to a party and came back late. I was summoned to explain why I wanted to spoil her sister. She was disappointed that her sister was pregnant immediately after she finished nursing school while she was still living with her. I can remember climbing the staircase with her, and she asked me, "Why did you do this to my sister?" I told her, I would marry her before she delivered the baby. I had only 54 naira in my account that day in the former New Nigerian Bank. She tried her best relative to what happened, and even though there were expectations I had during our marriage ceremony from her that were not forthcoming, I remained thankful to her. She was the one who went to Chief Emor to buy the drinks. I cannot remember how the food was cooked, but I bought all that was needed to prepare the food. I suspect she oversaw the cooking too. Accommodating my wife during pregnancy in her husband's house was a big help. However, the reason I wrote this portion of this book was the role she played whenever my wife delivered a child in Aba. The memory of the first one still brings tears to my eyes as I write. We had been alone with the child for about a week or so when she came. She came with dried fish, gari, popo gari, ground nuts, and anything you can imagine. She even cooked banga soup. I must not forget that she came with starch. There was great joy in our small home. We had somebody to speak our language with. My wife was radiant with joy because she loves her elder sister so much. She immediately took over bathing the baby and washing clothes. She would go to the river, about half a kilometer down a very steep hill, to fetch water for us. She would swim in the clear, beautiful river. When she was around, I could take a walk with my wife in the evening. We were lovers again. She became more beautiful after delivery. We had freedom again from raising a child. Even though we loved our baby, there was built-up passion for each other, especially when we were so young. Then she took every suggestion I gave her, not now that she has turned to my mother and wants to control every aspect of my life. When you marry a young woman, enjoy that period when she has not known so much as possible. After my wife had the second baby, we were now joint heirs. By the third, she had graduated to director, and now she is chief executive. With a grandchild, she is now mother in Israel, Deborah, while I am Lapidoth. What can a man do? No matter what men display outside, if you see any man with one wife who is living in peace with her, know that the woman is in control, though the man is in charge. The takeover bid is not hostile, and it is the cause of many quarrels in the first 5 years of marriage. Most men want to control and be in charge, and the home becomes charged. My in-law, Angela, was a great source of joy any time she came. There was one time she came when Ajiro, my only daughter, was about 6 months old, and she had not come for her usual visit. Before she came, Ajiro was sick. She had typhoid enteritis and fever. It was so bad that nothing seemed to work, despite all the treatment. Other people's children were coming to the hospital with the same illness and were getting well with treatment, but mine was not. The owner of the hospital traveled for Christmas and left us. He had not paid my salary for some months. I was broke to a point that we had to buy drugs on credit from a patent medicine store to treat my child. We were buying corn pap on credit to feed our children. There was nobody to run to. My brothers had not even seen me for 3 years, even though we were in the same country. It got so bad that the child stopped breathing. There were no veins to put up a drip, no oxygen. There was nothing. Remember, a time comes when you are alone with God. One nurse, Ngozi, closed the baby's eyes, and people started crying. I was on my own. Then an old man, whose foot I had partly amputated, came with his walking stick, prayed in his language, and laid hands on my baby, and the child sneezed, passed stool, and came back to life. He was a Christian. By the time I returned with my pastor, the child was alive. Things sometimes get worse before they get better. From that moment on, the child started to improve dramatically. The next day, my sister-in-law came from Warri with supplies, food, money, and company. We were so happy. I will never forget that visit all my life. No matter what wrong she does to me, those visits will always blot them out. Family members must be close to each other. They must help each other, and they must celebrate each other. The church must care for and ask after its members. Welfare committees must not exist only for burial ceremonies alone. Because of my experience with the man who owed me salaries, I made a vow never to owe my workers salaries. Since 1988, when I started paying workers, I have never owed workers salaries. I served very well during my NYSC. The staff of the local government were very supportive. I had so many job offers, but I settled for the job at Royal Hospital. The accommodation was good, and the environment was very conducive then. Another reason I took the job was the opportunity to acquire surgical skills because I wanted to go into general practice. The Indian doctor was not eager to work with me because he was on his way out. He was not eager to transfer his skills, so I had to steal them with my eyes. I watched every procedure he did with keen interest. He constantly changed his approach to the surgeries in order to confuse me. But I had good medical training, so I was able to cope. We were quite busy because we had patients from neighboring states. One thing we learnt early in life was to save regularly and have a common purse. You must learn to save regularly, no matter how small your income is. Families must learn to have a common purse if possible. Because of the way the proprietor of Royal Hospital was acting, I decided that I would set up my own practice. I started to save with 1988 as my target date. I started to buy surgical equipment piece by piece. I learned to start small and gradually. I finally got a place. We started the practice on February 28, 1988. We started small and really had to put ourselves under strain and innovation. We faced opposition and threats, but I later realized that my security was in God's hands. We handled many challenging medical cases. Every child I delivered, I prayed for and dedicated to God. I also had very difficult experiences, patients who died, pressure from the public, loneliness and fear. At times, I had nobody to lean on except my wife and my faith. There were moments of deep pain, confusion, and near breakdown, but I kept going. At a young age, I faced enormous responsibilities: sick children, paralyzed parents, financial struggles, and a demanding medical practice. But through it all, I learned resilience, faith, and endurance. We finally moved Petra Hospital from where we later sold it. This episode teaches the power of family support, resilience in adversity, faith in God, and the discipline of perseverance. It reminds us that life's greatest battles are often fought in silence, but they shape strength, character, and purpose. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Remember to check the links in the description to get your copy of Lessons of My Early Life. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. God bless you. Every moment you spend in church with people, enjoy it, invest in their lives, and avoid quarrels because you might not see many of them again. However, remember, there are some you will need in future. The church is a family and a nursery. When your calling cannot fit into a setting, relocate peacefully. You are not accountable to a denomination, but unto God. When you do not understand what to do next, keep doing what you are doing well until He speaks to you. When God helps you make up your mind, things start to naturally fall in place. You struggle when you are out of your place. Welcome to another powerful episode from the book Lessons of My Early Life by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies from Amazon. This episode is deeply personal, emotional, and inspiring. It tells the story of divine direction, sacrifice, uncertainty, faith, and the journey into ministry. As you listen, may you find courage to obey God's leading in your own life. I did not set out to be in ministry. I never admired any minister with the inspiration that I would become a preacher, but I respected Pentecostal preachers. I encountered men like Brother Emma Okoria, Reverend John Okposio, Bishop Dan Akaonye, Bishop Edo Hasim, and the father of them all, Papa Ida Hosa. However, I loved the Lord, and Church of God Mission at St. Michael's Road, Aba, was like a family. So fellowship was exciting, even though at a point I lost the joy. We had the kind of training in Living Word Ministries that equipped you as a believer for the work of the ministry without really having full-time ministry in mind. We had teachings on healing, love, faith, giving, prayer, and general Christian living. One of my first demonstrations of what I learnt from the teachings was very early in my Christian faith. A young lady was brought to the hospital where I was employed, very restless, and we tried to sedate her without success. The father was about to take her home from Aba in Abia State to Akwa Ibom, where they came from, for prayers. I asked him in frustration where they were taking her, and he said to a prayer house. I was provoked in my spirit and prayed that she should be calm in Jesus' name. Immediately she calmed down and slept. I remember the father later brought a very big pineapple on her discharge. The next experience was that I prayed for a friend's wife who had not conceived, and she conceived and delivered according to the prayer. I prayed under inspiration. There were other definite manifestations of the power of God that are not the subject of this write-up, but life taught me that Jesus answers prayers and that his name is powerful. Another experience I had frequently was that when I prayed for barren women, many got pregnant. However, one day I got an inspiration to become a Sunday school teacher, and my friend, Pastor Reverend Felix, had just become the Sunday school superintendent. I admired his understanding of the Bible, his love for God, and his faith in the Word of God. I also appreciated his love for his family. Family life is very important to me, particularly because I did not come from an ideal home. Anyone who loved family life was a model to me, a combination of my admiration, appreciation, and our friendship was what I suspect God used to prompt me to take the responsibility. The Sunday school ministry and Pastor Felix contributed a great deal to my understanding of Scripture, doctrinal approach, and many things that seemed good in my ministry. Another thing that helped me was a Bible that was given to me as a gift, or I cannot remember if I bought it. It had very good references, illustrations, and explanations. This stimulated my interest in biblical history and details with everyday life applications. My pastor, Bishop Edo Hasim, had an approach of allowing people to display their gifts through group week activities. In the process, I also discovered some gifts in me. He gave me opportunities to teach pastors and run seminars for couples. My dear friend, Elder Eke Elianya Onuma, was instrumental in taking me from the church level to ministering in the full gospel businessmen's fellowship circuit. He brought me to a pedestal that exposed me to the outside world. Due to this exposure, I was able to appreciate what was in me even more. I still, at this point, never had full-time ministry in mind. I wanted to be an international businessman, or, if possible, go and practice medicine abroad. One other contributing factor that broke a limitation was a video of Benny Hinn that my mentor, Reverend Chuma Okoroafor, sent to me from Chicago. I was imparted by that video. I received a fresh anointing each time I watched it. At that same time, a young man called Jackson Brown, one artist Jeremiah, and one of my converts now, who was formerly a Rasta man, came into my life. They joined me to pray at home and in the hospital. Anytime we went to minister, extraordinary manifestations of the power of God took place. It was an exciting experience. I shared my clothes with them. I gave the love offerings we were given to them because I had enough from my practice. As these activities were going on, strangely enough, I started to receive prophecies from very unexpected sources. One was a pastor whom I knew through Pastor Ahi. He was in full-time ministry and a graduate, but I detested his lifestyle as a full-time pastor. He always had financial problems, but I knew he was anointed. He came one morning to the hospital to inform me that God was calling me to full-time ministry and that he was told to pray for me. With trembling hands, he prayed for me and ran away. I told myself that it was a huge joke. Why would God send this kind of scruffy fellow, whom I usually gave money to come and tell me that he was calling me to leave my practice and become like him? That was a bad way to recruit or conscript anybody. His ways are not our ways. Why would I want to become like this man I considered foolish and a Pentecostal nuisance? God does not think, act, or see the way we do. We look at circumstances, features, cars, clothes, speech, and crowds to evaluate people and their ministries. God looks at the heart, our motives, and availability. The next person was my pastor's wife, Mrs. Anthonia Ahukana. She was a very sound and calm Christian, but when she gave the messages to me, they looked too unbelievable compared to where I was. Today, I know better. Even the late Sister Caroline Asiegbu came with her own prophecy, and I was surprised because we joked a lot together. Even though she was married too, we were indeed like a family. She said she saw the flags of several nations and my name written in the sky. I remember vividly where we were standing, at the junction of Umwola Road, just before the hotel that was nearly opposite or adjacent to Church of God, Mission International, Ogbor Hill, Aba. It was a Sunday morning. All these did not move me. I am very skeptical about prophets and prophecies. However, the presence of God's grace became very obvious. The demand soared, and I hardly had time for the hospital anymore. Suddenly, I started to hate everything that was not ministry and soul winning. I hated medical practice. I suddenly started to detest Aba, a city I loved so much. I also started feeling detached from the people and the church. One David Nwachukwu, now an elder, who was a very regular and sound Sunday school teacher with us, triggered the quest to see the move of God when he asked a question in the Sunday school preparatory class. Why are we not seeing the miracles of old? That question prompted me to pray and study the history of great revivals. Evangelist Jackson Brown was a great blessing through the books he gave me to read. The more I read, the more the question was answered through me by signs and wonders. I do not want to go into details because I believe others should talk about them. One day we were in Elder Aka Elianya Onuma's Peugeot 505 saloon car when I had a strong impression that the time to leave Abba had come. I had wanted to stay longer because I loved Abba and the people. That blessed day we were going for a burial ceremony across the Abba Port Harcourt Expressway. Then I saw the kind of soil we have in Delta State. That part of Abba shares boundaries with Rivers State, so it has the same kind of sand we have in Delta State. Suddenly, there was an intense emotional upheaval. All my childhood dreams came flooding in. I suddenly felt separated from the land of Abba and what I was doing there. I suddenly started to miss my ancestral home. Reverend Evans Daniels, of blessed memory, was also instrumental in providing a medium for exposure when he invited me for big programs in his church with great men of God like Reverend Dr. Uma Ukpai. I will not fail to mention that he was instrumental in taking me to South Africa, and he even gave me a car as a gift before the journey. He was a man who loved God and the work of God with all his heart. He also loved humanity. I had definite impressions in my spirit during prayers and the study of God's word that I should go back to my people and that he would bless me. He also impressed upon my spirit that he would bless me and cause development to come to where I chose to stay. They have come to pass. My greatest fears were my wife's reactions and my inadequacies and character flaws that I was battling with, and I am still battling with. I was also very scared of the marital challenges I had. There is a very thin veil between peace and quarrels between my wife and me. I also saw how marriage could bring so much pressure on ministry and ministry on marriage. To combine doing business together with doing ministry together would put too much pressure on us. Thank God the church arm did not work well, so I gave up the church to the Church of God Mission International and became an ordinary member in the same church. I know how and when to walk away. It might not be a good virtue, but I know how to walk away. Surprisingly, my wife agreed that we should relocate and sell the hospital. I prayed, and God told me how much I would sell the hospital for, and the doctor came and bought the hospital. I had money to relocate and buy instruments for ministry. I cried the day I signed the agreement to transfer the practice to the new owner. Remember, I know how to walk away. Maybe it is just my design. There is a gut feeling I have when the time to move on comes. I have also known when not to push on with an idea. Just prior to my leaving Aba for full-time ministry, I had some specific encounters. Archbishop Benson Idahosa had come to Aba to do an outdoor outreach at the Okigwe Road Primary School field. Pastor Felix Ahie, Elder Eke Onuma, Elder Kingsley Njioye, who passed on to glory in 2018, and I were amongst a group of people in the protocol team to take care of him. One of the days, he was standing with us discussing life and ministry when he suddenly changed the subject and said he had finished all he was called to do. He said he was looking for professionals who would run with the vision and ministry. He beckoned the 3 brethren I had mentioned earlier to come towards him. I was standing a few steps away because I am a very shy person. But when I realized that he wanted to pray for them, I went forward too, and he prayed for us. The next incident was after the prayer started producing results, and I had become relatively popular in Aba. I was invited to a Scripture Union indoor meeting at Umuehilegbu near Ariaria Market, Aba. Dr. Uma Ukpai was ministering, and I wanted him to lay hands and pray for me. I tried to position my head in such a way that he would pray for me. He touched other people, but did not pray for me. The next day, I went very early and sat on the podium in such a way that he would pray for me. He did not pray for anybody that day. After some time, I was billed to preach with him at Christian Pentecostal Mission, OGK Lane, Aba. I told Reverend Evans Daniels that I wanted him to pray for me. He did pray for me on his way out. The impression of the warm feeling I had on my head lasted for 2 weeks. It was like a weight. I subsequently preached with him on several occasions, including the Men's Convention of the Assemblies of God Church, Nigeria at Enugu. Someone rightly said that if you want to live long as a pilot, you should know when to push full throttle and when not to squeeze the throttle. The ability to distinguish when to and when not to, how to and how not to, is key to greatness and success in life and ministry. I had wanted to sell a piece of land I had somewhere, but the deal was not going through. I had to stop, meditate, and pray. Just one phone call I made gave me an idea from a young man that changed my fortune. I did not sell the land. I, in fact, bought more. There was a portion in front I wanted to buy. An unreasonable price was demanded by the agent. I did not push further. I had a leading to wait, and I did wait. About 3 years later, the owner walked into my office to buy my books. The agent had died of natural causes and old age. The owner told me that the land was of no use to him and was willing to sell it to me, hopefully at a much lower price. I respect my inner workings or gut feelings. I also believe strongly that my life is fully under divine control. Even when we were cooking for the send-off ceremony, our very dear family friends, Barrister Chibuike Nwokeokwu, Cyan, and Barrister Mrs. Nwokeokwu, were still asking if the decision was not reversible. If my wife has ever had any close friend apart from me since we got married, it was Mrs. Felicia Nwokeokwu. She is a woman with a good heart, just like her husband. I got to know the Nwokeokwu family through the husband. One day, my car failed to start, and I needed to take my eldest son, Mimi, to school that morning. I had to take a shortcut through Ebenma Street to get to the Ikot Ekpene Expressway. The Nwokeokwu family were residents on Ebenma Street then. I do not know how he sighted me. He ordered Ugochukwu, his driver, to stop. He beckoned me to bring the child and gave me his complimentary card. And Nene Adaeze Nwokeokwu was in the car. She was Mimi's classmate. We later resided on the same street with them. That is how our friendship started. That incident took place when Mimi and Adaeze were just about 2 or 3 years old. They are now medical doctors. Adaeze recently contested in the primaries of the PDP in Abia State for the House of Representatives seat. Though she lost, she proved a point. I must not fail to mention one incident where I was invited to preach at a program in Aba. The organizers cancelled the program without informing me. I got there with my wife and the church was locked. We had barely managed to buy fuel to reach Aba, hoping to sell books and cassettes and get some honorarium. We were stranded. We slept at the Nwokeokwu residence, and the husband gave us 5,000 naira to travel back. We sent our things home to Ugeli, where we rented an apartment for the practice because I still wanted to practice. But for months, I could not get accommodation to live in. I then told God that if He did not want me to practice, He should give me a place for ministry, and in record time, I got many places. I rented 2 flats and a warehouse, and God provided money to pay for them. That is how we started full-time ministry. However, there are lessons I learned from my experiences. Do not say there are things, I mean decent and lawful things, you are not called to do unless God specifically tells you so. That you detest a man and his ministry does not mean that God has not approved of him. The success of a man's ministry is not measured in material terms only. When your life is yielded to God, do not struggle for the driving wheel with Him. If you are asking too many questions about an issue, show interest. God might be waiting to give you an answer. Those God would use to stimulate or ignite you might not be the same men He would use to build you up. Always be ready to move on when God tells you to do so. No matter who you are with and what you are doing, God sees farther than you. The church is a family and a nursery. When your calling cannot fit into a setting, relocate peacefully. You are not accountable to a denomination, but unto God. When you do not understand what to do next, keep doing what you are doing well until He speaks to you. When God helps you make up your mind, things start to naturally fall in place. You struggle when you are out of your place. Every moment you spend in church with people, enjoy it, invest in their lives, and avoid quarrels because you might not see many of them again. However, remember there are some you will need in future. It is from those little things you are doing well that God calls you to do great things. I did not hear a voice from heaven calling me into ministry. I did not have any dramatic experience. Whether God called me, or I called myself, or I called on God to call me, I do not know. However, by their fruits we shall know them. If you do not believe me for what I have said, I believe myself for what I am doing. I did not get into ministry because it was fashionable. I started by taking care of lepers and children in remand homes and orphanages. I took care of prisoners with people like Mr. Ion Olugo, Bishop Mensa Abrampa, Kenneth Ozamena, and many others I cannot remember because of memory loss with aging. There was a day I trekked from Osisioma by the Aberport Harcourt Expressway with my bag on my head to my hospital in the company of Jackson Brown and evangelist Solomon Obasuyi, the former Rastafarian I mentioned earlier in this chapter. We were to go for a program, but it rained and we could not get transport. I did not go with my car. We got to my residence by about 11 p.m. It was a distance of about 4 kilometers. There were times I thought I was insane. I just loved the work of the ministry. Making heaven was, and still is, my major concern. This chapter is a story of calling, obedience, sacrifice, growth, and divine direction. It reveals that ministry is not always glamorous or dramatic. Sometimes it begins quietly through service, faithfulness, compassion, and small acts of obedience. It also teaches that God can use ordinary experiences, relationships, disappointments, and even unlikely people to prepare a person for purpose. Above all, this story reminds us that when God leads, He also provides strength, direction, provision, and grace for the journey ahead. Thank you for listening to this episode from Lessons of My Early Life. If this message inspired you, encouraged you, or strengthened your faith, kindly purchase the complete book using the links in the description below. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Please like, share, subscribe, and follow for more life-transforming episodes. God bless you. I was overjoyed that my daughter was alive and my granddaughter was well. Becoming a grandfather taught me profound lessons about responsibility, family, legacy, and love. It reminded me that our greatest investment is not in possessions, but in people. Every generation should strive to become better than the one before it, leaving a lasting inheritance of wisdom, values, faith, and opportunity for those who come after. Welcome back to another episode based on the book, Lessons of My Early Life, by Dr. Charles Apoki. To get your copy of the book, please check the links in the description. This episode shares deeply personal lessons from becoming a grandfather, reflecting on family, responsibility, legacy, and the importance of investing in future generations. My nuclear family is quite small. My wife, 3 sons, my daughter, and I. My daughter is my second child. I had the first 3 in quick succession, 1986, 1987, and 1988, and then my last child in 1996. I did my genotype test at the University College Hospital, Ibadan, as a student in 1983 and was informed that I was AS genotype. My wife also did hers and she was AS. I took the risk and married her. We were fortunate that we had no children with sickle cell disease. My wife repeated her test in 2016 and she was still AS. All my children are AS genotype. I might need to retake mine. My daughter got married in 2017 and became pregnant just a few months later. I was very excited that I was going to become a grandfather. It sounded strange to me that I was becoming a grandfather because, inside my soul, I still felt like a much younger man. Nevertheless, I felt the responsibility that comes with being a grandfather. I started relating with the baby right from the womb. One day, I told my daughter that I was going to do an antenatal Holy Spirit baptism for the child. I told her that after singing, I would ask the baby to receive the Holy Spirit and to move. It happened exactly as I said it. When I said, "Baby, move," she moved suddenly in the womb. I used to sing for her regularly. The mother had a few challenges during pregnancy that warranted hospitalization, but she had always been strong-willed. One day she said, "My joyful baby is not moving." I had to ask a driver to take her to the hospital, and the doctors dispelled her fears. After a few days, she eventually went into labor. My wife was with her as a nurse midwife. One of the parents of our students, Mama Bola, was very helpful throughout the pregnancy and labor. My daughter was very dramatic in labor and caused panic in everybody. I had gone to my mother's community when my wife called me, saying that my daughter might need surgery. I contacted the zonal medical director, a bishop, and a dentist, Dr. Moses, who prayed and reassured me that she would deliver safely. I arrived at the hospital with my lawyer, Barrister Ighofotu Okeya. As a precautionary measure, the gynecologist was called. The anesthesiologist took some time, but eventually arrived. We had to wait for the generator operator to start the generator because there was no public power supply. Then we needed to wait for the theater attendant to clean the theater. Meanwhile, the doctor was watching a match on his mobile phone. I saw firsthand the decay and reckless abandon in our healthcare delivery system. They eventually wheeled her into the theater. All this drama turned out to be for my own good. But there were very deep lessons I learned from the subsequent occurrences. Her husband sat near me helplessly. It dawned on me that if my daughter died during the delivery, I would be the highest loser. Her husband had little to lose. He would simply walk away with his baby if she survived. Most young women do not realize this. Any young woman who despises the counsel of her parents will be the loser if anything goes wrong. I realized that if it came to financial responsibility, I would bear the cost. If he said he had no money, he had nothing to lose. I started recalling all the pains it took me to raise my daughter and what it would mean to her brothers if she died during childbirth. I recalled all my deliberately rejected counsel. For a long time, I did not hear anything from the theater, not even her screams. I was suddenly called into the theater. I was informed that the head of the baby was down and that my daughter refused to push. I asked my daughter, "Who are we?" She said, "Apokis." Then I asked her, "How are we, lazy or strong?" She said, "Strong." I told her, "Then push, my baby." She gave a push, and my granddaughter came out. She was very beautiful and healthy. Once they finished with the mother, I went towards my granddaughter. Immediately she heard my voice. She opened her eyes, looking for me. I was overjoyed that my daughter was alive and my granddaughter was well. The next day, we discharged them home. I took 2 weeks off work to stay with my granddaughter. I would carry her on my back, as African mothers do. I carried her at night so that my daughter could sleep. I was booked into a very beautiful hotel in Wari 2 weeks after her birth. I ran home to look after my granddaughter. There is a strong bond between us. She brings me great joy, but at the same time, whenever I carry her, many thoughts flood my mind. Thoughts of things that did not go well and a great future that is possible. She calls me Dadudan. I do not know how she came up with that name. I had to see her before going to speak at Delta State University, Abraka. She was sleeping, but immediately she heard my voice. She woke up, asked for her shoes, and came downstairs to meet me. I could see the joy on her face as she held my hand like two lovers going for a walk in a park. For me, it is very important to play this role in her life. The female child requires extra attention from her father. The Electra complex in psychology shows that daughters are attracted to their fathers. Daughters and women in general are often treated as second-class citizens. There is a hunger to be appreciated in every human being. If this void is not filled in a woman, she suffers from what is called absent father syndrome. The lady seeks this love from older men. As I wrote in one of my publications, not all cases of promiscuity are due to demons. I can see more than 20 years ahead. I will be 80 years old when she is 21 or 22. What plans do I need to make for her as my first grandchild? Many of the questions only time can answer, but I am determined to give all my grandchildren the best life has to offer. A righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. The next generation of Apokis will definitely be greater than their parents. Just as their parents are better than my wife and me, I was better than my father, and my wife was better than her parents. I look forward to a greater second half of my life. Imagine 60 years of existence feel just like yesterday. I have chosen to write more about my personal lessons and very little about others. I want others to write about my existence later in life. Another book will be published on my 70th birthday, then on my 80th birthday, and my 90th birthday. Any years beyond 90 will be the burden of others to write. I have labored and sacrificed much comfort to reach this level, but there is still much more to do. The God who has brought me this far is faithful to keep my wife and me alive to see our great-grandchildren in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Becoming a grandfather taught me profound lessons about responsibility, family, legacy, and love. It reminded me that our greatest investment is not in possessions, but in people. Every generation should strive to become better than the one before it, leaving a lasting inheritance of wisdom, values, faith, and opportunity for those who come after. Thank you for listening to this episode from Lessons of My Early Life. If this story inspired you, challenged your thinking, or taught you something valuable, consider getting a copy of the book. You can find the purchase links in the description. You can also get both hard and soft copies on Amazon. Please like, share, and subscribe for more life-changing lessons from Lessons of My Early Life. God bless you.